The first time Ethan Kane smirked at me, I thought he was mocking me. Turns out that was his version of a smile, and somehow I became the only person in Kane Industries who ever got to see it. Ethan wasn't just a CEO. He was the kind of man who made board members stutter and investors fight to shake his hand. I was the youngest director in the company's history, freshly promoted, still trying to figure out if my parking spot was a mistake. But the day he called me into his glass-walled office, the entire floor went silent as if someone had announced the arrival of royalty. "Close the door, Noah," he said, his voice low, "the kind that made you both want to run and stay forever." I did, and that's where everything began. Working directly under Ethan was like living under a constant spotlight. He never raised his voice, but one glance from him could strip away every ounce of confidence you thought you had. The first month, I barely spoke unless spoken to, and every conversation felt like an audition I was doomed to fail. But he noticed me in ways I didn't expect. One night, I stayed late finalizing a pitch for a difficult client. Around 10 p.m., I felt his presence before I saw him. "You should be home," he said. I didn't look up. "So should you." When I finally glanced his way, there it was, the smirk. Small, fleeting, but enough to make my stomach twist. Days turned into weeks, and somehow we slipped into an unspoken rhythm. A subtle brush of his hand when he handed me a document. A pause at the elevator just long enough for me to catch up. The way his gaze lingered a fraction too long during meetings. Everyone wanted Ethan Kane. But when his eyes softened, I knew they weren't seeing him, they were seeing the mask. I was the one who saw the man behind it. The trouble started with a rumor. A rival director, Martin, claimed I'd been promoted because I was Ethan's new favorite. The implication was clear, and the office walls have ears. I ignored it at first until I overheard Martin talking in the break room. "He's just the CEO's pet project. Watch, when Kane gets bored, he'll be gone." That night, I confronted Ethan in his office. "If this keeps going, people will think..." I stopped, not sure I wanted to finish that sentence. "They already think it," he said calmly. "The question is, do you care?" I did. God help me, I cared too much. But before I could answer, a storm hit. Kane Industries lost a major account, and Ethan took the blame to protect the team. Overnight, the man who seemed untouchable was suddenly on the defensive. Investors demanded answers. The board pushed for changes. And through it all, he kept his distance from me. At first, I thought it was to protect me. But then I saw him at a gala, laughing with a beautiful venture capitalist, her hand resting on his arm. Something inside me cracked. I left without saying goodbye. The night it all came to a head, the city was drowning in rain. I was still in my office, staring at a resignation letter I hadn't printed yet, when the elevator doors opened and Ethan walked in, drenched, his tie hanging loose. "You've been avoiding me," he said. "You've been giving me reasons to..." I shot back. My voice shook, and not from fear. "You're the one who told me not to care what people think. But you've been acting like I'm a liability." He closed the distance between us in 3 strides. "Because you are," he said, and before I could break, he added, "You're the only liability I'll never give up." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "You can't just say things like that, Ethan. You can't." He kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was years of restraint breaking in an instant, heat and rain and everything I'd been afraid to want. When we finally pulled apart, I whispered, "And the board? They can fire me," he said, "but they don't get to choose who I smile for." The fallout wasn't as bad as I feared. Martin was caught manipulating figures to make me look incompetent and was swiftly removed. Ethan weathered the storm with me by his side. And when the company stabilized, the whispers faded. Ethan Kane still captivated everyone. But at the end of the day, when we walked out together and the city lights painted his face in gold, I knew one truth: his smile was mine. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.